a new device to detect ripening produce. And are the recent heat waves due to climate change? There's also new food words in the dictionary for August 22nd, 2012. This is Food News Today. Good morning. Food News Today is sponsored by ConAgra Foods, who shares with me the desire to provide the most current, interesting, and unbiased food news. Each year, U.S. supermarkets lose roughly 10% of their fruits and vegetables to spoilage, according to the USDA. To help combat those losses, MIT postdoctoral associate Dr. Jan Schnorr and his colleagues have built a new sensor that could help grocers and food distributors better monitor their produce. I interviewed Jan about this latest invention. Jan, how did your team come up with the concept for this device? And describe it a little bit.
Sure. So we were interested in developing a sensor for ethylene that is specific and can be read out electronically, made small. So we already had developed carbon nanotube-based sensors in our lab that are electronic and small, but we needed something for ethylene. So we were inspired by nature, where copper brings the selectivity and binds the ethylene. So we combined the copper and the nanotubes to make our sensor. So the sensor works by ethylene binding to the copper. It changes how much current flows through the nanotube, and that's something we can measure.
How do you envision this sensor being used in the food world, specifically in supermarkets?
So there are a lot of potential applications all along the value chain in the food industry, but for supermarkets specifically, just imagine you have a bunch of boxes of fruit and you want to decide which one to put out for display, which one to wait for the next day, and which one to throw out because it's already getting bad. So with our sensor, you can check the ripeness of all this fruit and then make exactly the right choices. So no spoiling fruit spoils additional ones, and you get the one right out for display that's ready for the customer.
Do you envision a similar device ever being available for consumers?
Sure. It's a little further down the road, but what we would like to do is, for example, having a refrigerator at your house where in the fruit and vegetable compartment you have a sensor that tells you when fruit is about to spoil or when fruit has the optimal ripeness, so you can eat it right when it's best and don't have to throw it out because you wait too long.
The recent heat waves might be something we need to get used to, as there's some talk that the high temperatures are related to climate change and global warming. For that, we have Rebecca to tell us a little bit more about what's going on in our environment.
Thank you, Phil. I'm here in Washington, D.C., reporting on the recent heat wave affecting most of the country. In a landmark 1988 study, James Hansen predicted that if greenhouse gas emissions continued, Washington, D.C. would have about 9 days each year of 95 degrees or warmer in the decade of the 2010s. So far this year, with about 4 more weeks of summer, the city has had 23 days with 95 degrees or hotter temperatures. Hansen's study states that the likelihood of high temperatures occurring from the 1950s through the 1980s was rarer than 1 in 300. Now the odds are closer to 1 in 10, according to the NASA study. Hansen says that statistically what is happening is not random or normal, but pure and simple climate change. This does not bode well for U.S. farmers currently experiencing record-breaking droughts. These conditions will likely result in lower than expected crop yields and may create a rise in domestic food prices as well.
Thanks, Rebecca. Food is an increasingly important part of popular culture, and with that comes many new words or even not so new words that can describe our food, the type of eaters, and more. Considered the premier dictionary of the English language, the Oxford English Dictionary has been around since 1847. It contains about 600,000 words. Now, the dictionaries online add dozens of new words to its online dictionary every quarter. So here's the latest food words. Locavore, a person whose diet consists only or principally of locally grown or produced food. Affogato, an Italian dessert consisting of vanilla ice cream topped with a shot of espresso coffee. Red velvet cake, a rich chocolate-flavored sponge cake with a distinctive red color, typically with layers of buttercream or cream cheese icing. Now don't worry, Merriam-Webster Collegiate Dictionary is also adding food words, and here are their latest ones. Flexitarian, one whose normally meatless diet occasionally includes meat or fish. Obesogenic, promoting excessive weight gain, producing obesity. It most commonly refers to an environment where something or some pattern, like food deserts in a city, is suspected of putting people at risk for obesity. What word or words should also have been added? Let me know on my Facebook page or on Twitter. And remember, you can always log on to foodnewstoday.com anytime to access our archives and replay our past episodes. And thanks for watching.